The three principalities making up today's Romania had existed in a complicated and ever-changing state of vassalage to the Ottomans since the reign of Mehmed II. Succession within the principalities often relied on the backing of a foreign ruler. Transylvania was less affected than its neighbors, with power firmly in the hands of the illustrious Batory family, a dynasty with Hungarian origins and strong claims to the Polish throne. Ottoman rule had only reached Transylvania following Suleiman's destruction of the Kingdom of Hungary, but both Moldavia and Wallachia had experienced a state of stagnation and instability for decades, facing ever greater demands for grain, meat and tribute from a famine-racked Anatolia. Ottoman control over succession had further degraded their administrations to the point that Aron the Tyrant was able to effectively purchase the Moldavian throne from Sultan Murad III in 1591. Yet these fiercely contested borders could also work in the favor of the vassal rulers, and attempts by the imperial powers to seize more direct control often resulted in the principalities shifting their loyalties or seeking to bring in an opposing power as a counterweight. This trend can be seen in the rise to power of Mihai Viteazul, or Michael the Brave, one of the central figures in this narrative and a national hero in today's Romania. The voivode of all three Romanian principalities were now united in the struggle against the Ottoman Empire, with Pope Clement VIII facilitating the signing of a formal alliance between the three. But this unity would be short-lived, with each seeing the chaos of war as an opportunity to expand their own power at the expense of their erstwhile allies. It is little surprise that Aron the Tyrant, holding the weakest claim to his throne of the three, would be the first to be targeted. Rumors circulated that Aron was planning to abandon the Holy League, making peace with the Ottomans, or swearing fealty to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth for protection. Whether the rumors were true, or simply existed to provide a justification for Sigismund Batory's long-standing ambitions over Moldavia, Aron the Tyrant would be overthrown on April 24, 1595, while Michael the Brave was advancing against the Ottomans, pushing south towards Adrianople. Sigismund Batory was rapidly bringing Moldavia under Transylvanian authority, with taxes flowing into Batory's coffers, and Razvan serving as little more than a puppet ruler. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth had maintained close ties with the Moldavian nobility prior to the war. Therefore, Razvan's takeover and the sudden domination of Transylvania and its Habsburg backers greatly threatened Polish influence in the region. With Sigismund's Transylvanian forces abandoning Moldavia to join Michael against the Ottomans in Wallachia, Razvan's meager resistance against the Polish army was quickly scattered. The Boyar Eremia Movila was installed as voivode shortly afterwards, placing Moldavia firmly under the authority of the Commonwealth, and angering the Habsburgs and Ottomans alike. Aron the Tyrant's fall had not only served to drag Poland into the growing conflict, it had also driven a wedge between Batory and Michael the Brave, who had been on friendly terms with Aron, and feared Batory's designs on his own principality as well. Following Batory's failed intervention in Moldavia and the shocking Ottoman victory at Mezokeresztes, coupled with the collapse of his recent marriage to Habsburg Princess Maria Cristina and her subsequent imprisonment at Kovagara Fortress, his ambitions of Transylvanian rule over the three principalities seemed ever more remote, and some accounts suggest he had fallen into a state of depression. After months of negotiation, Sigismund abdicated to Emperor Rudolf II, his nominal liege and heir since his marriage to Maria Cristina, on March 23, 1598, trading Transylvania for a generous yearly stipend and lands in Silesia. With his reputation and legitimacy suffering, and Sultan Mehmed III too angered by his vassal's betrayal to settle for peace, Sigismund would abdicate again on March 21, 1599, this time to his estranged cousin Cardinal Andrew Batory. With the Ottomans and Habsburgs now both seeing Transylvania as their own rebellious subject and bent on reconquest, Andrew was largely dependent on his close ties to Poland, where he had served as a landed bishop during his previous exile from Transylvania. Possessing some experience in administration and diplomacy, Andrew wasted no time attempting to repair Transylvania's damaged fortunes, opening new negotiations with the Ottomans, negotiating a marriage alliance with Voivode Eremia Movila of Moldavia. and even securing an oath of fealty from Michael the Brave. His grasp of military matters, unfortunately, would prove sorely lacking. During this same time, Michael the Brave managed to secure a temporary peace with Mehmet III, who was still struggling with uprisings across Anatolia and expensive siege warfare in Hungary. As mentioned in the previous video, the Hungarian-speaking Szekely people of Transylvania had made up a significant portion of Sigismund Báthory's army during his clashes with Sinan Pasha in Wallachia. The Szekely had traditionally been granted a variety of privileges compared to the Romanian peasantry under the Kingdom of Hungary, including exemption from serfdom and certain taxes. However, these privileges had largely been revoked by John Sigismund Zapoya, who had ruled Transylvania as Suleiman's vassal following Mohacs and the collapse of the Hungarian kingdom. To rally the Szekely to his cause in 1595, Sigismund Báthory had promised the restoration of these traditional privileges, but such a promise could not be kept on the authority of the voivode alone. Lifting the Szekely back out of serfdom would have required the assent of the Transylvanian Diet, or Council of Nobles, with its members proving reluctant to accept such a proposal and diminish their own power in doing so. Even so, the Transylvanian cause need not have been a hopeless one. It had long been the strongest of the three principalities, and despite the addition of the Szekely to Michael's forces, Andrew's army was of a comparable size, as many as 20,000 compared to approximately 24,000 Wallachians. When battle was finally joined at Shilimba on October 28th, a charge from the Transylvanian Hussar cavalry would initially throw the Wallachians into disarray, but Andrew's timid and overly cautious leadership would prevent the Transylvanians from taking advantage of this victory before their foes could regroup. Once the Wallachians rallied and made a countercharge against Andrew's outnumbered force, the Cardinal fled the battle in panic, leaving his army to rout behind him. Perhaps most concerning, even Michael's relationship with his sovereign Rudolf began to fray, with Rudolf demanding a Transylvania under direct imperial ownership with Michael as governor, while Michael sought to be recognized as hereditary Prince of Transylvania in his own right. Distrustful of the ambitious voivode, Rudolf had dispatched Giorgio Basta, a talented general and a veteran of the French Wars of Religion, to take charge of the situation in Transylvania to the emperor's satisfaction. In late August of 1600, much of the Hungarian nobility of Transylvania rose in revolt against their conqueror, and were subsequently organized by Basta into an effective fighting force, supported by imperial troops, outnumbered and underprepared, with by most accounts fewer than 20,000 under Michael facing down nearly 30,000 better equipped soldiers under Basta. The voivode was nevertheless able to hold his own initially, holding a strong defensive position with the Mureș River to the south preventing flanking actions. Michael had triumphed against overwhelming odds before at Caligari, and with fierce gunfire from Szekely forces fortified in the town, and bombardment from artillery positioned atop the hills to the north, taking a sharp toll on the approaching army. For a short time it seemed he might do it again. But a deceptively simple trick would prove his undoing at Marașlau, with Basta's forces performing a feigned retreat that succeeded in drawing the Wallachian forces out of their defensive positions in a pursuit that swiftly became a rout once the Imperial and Transylvanian troops turned to meet their outnumbered pursuers. The disaster was far from complete, however, as Jan Zamoyski took advantage of the sudden Wallachian weakness by bringing a Polish army of over 24,000 into Moldavia in early October to reinstall Aremia Movila. Despite the best efforts of Starina Novak, a close ally of Michael's and a former brigand leader well used to guerrilla warfare after years of fighting the Ottomans, the Polish advanced rapidly, beating the Wallachians on October 12th and 14th at Naini and Cheptura, before confronting and defeating Michael at the Telezen River near Ploiești on October 20th. Of the three great powers contesting the Romanian principalities, Poland had arguably emerged as the greatest victor, having gained Moldavia as a vassal, partial control of Wallachia, and even growing bold enough to back a returned Sigismund Báthory in one final attempt to regain control of Transylvania. These gains would not all be lasting. Sigismund met defeat at the hands of an unlikely alliance of Giorgio Basta and Michael the Brave at Gürislau on August 3rd. the defeated Wallachian voivode supporting his former enemy under Rudolf's orders in hopes of regaining his throne, only to be assassinated on that same enemy's orders a mere 6 days later. After Sigismund's third and final abdication, the final victor in Transylvania would be his old supporter Stephen Bocskai, who despite his previous support for Sigismund's rebellion, ended up accepting Ottoman backing to drive out Basta. Sultan Ahmed I, who would lead the Ottoman Empire through the last years of war and navigate the difficult peace to follow, would also succeed in restoring a degree of Ottoman suzerainty over Wallachia through his backing of Voivode Radu Menea, and continue to vie for influence in Moldavia over the years to follow.